with my 2001 Honda S2000. I've had the car for about 3 years now, and I think I'm at the point where I want to make an overview video about it, so let's get started. Alright, so I guess as far as visual stuff, we'll start at the front of the car and work our way around it. As you can see, the car has the AP2 front bumper with the CR front lip and the Amazon eBay AP2 headlights. Sometimes I kind of wish the car still had the AP1 front and the OEM AP1 lip, but I don't mind having the AP2 stuff. The previous owner did the bumper and lip. I did the AP2 headlights, though. I prefer how the indicators look on the AP2 headlights versus the USDM AP1 lights. Ideally, I'd like some JDM AP1 lights, but for the price of these, you can't really go wrong. Also, as you can see, I have the front plate relocated to the grille area, and I have the block-off covers for the factory plate mounting holes. I think that's a good compromise as far as being able to appreciate the clean front end of the car while still having a plate in the front, so I don't get a lot of attention from law enforcement and stuff like that. Looking at the side of the car, you can still see I have the S2000 badges on the fenders, and I have the, I'm not sure if it's JDM or UKDM, but I have the clear indicator light. And along the bottom there, you'll see, just like my Integra, I put an Easy Lip. Again, Easy Lip, I think it's nice, cheap, and clean for the look it gives you. A lot of the hard plastic side skirts that they sell for the S2000, they kind of end up warping over time, and where you mount the screws into the chassis, you have to drill into, and I wasn't into doing that to the car. So yeah, $30, I don't mind. Mirror here, still Silverstone metallic. I don't really have any plans to change these. I think one of the giveaways that this car is an AP1 is the black vinyl around the windshield, but I'm not sure. Someone let me know in the comments. Alright, coming around to the back of the car, we can see a shorty antenna done by the previous owner. I guess I prefer this to a longer antenna. I'm not sure what comes from the factory, but I don't mind this, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now for taillights, we have the Amazon eBay AP2 lights that adapt to the AP1 frame, chassis, whatever. And usually when I buy Amazon or eBay lights, I run a bead of silicone around the lenses so water doesn't get in. And I'm happy to say that it's been working for the headlights and the taillights so far for the past 2 years they've been on the car. I guess another visual giveaway that this car is an AP1 is the AP1 rear bumper. You can tell by this section right here with the little, I guess, diffuser area. I do prefer that to the AP2 bumper, but I wish this part of the bumper had the little AP2 body line that kind of goes with this little body line right here down the side. But the whole car was painted, and this matches perfectly to the rest of the car, so I'm just going to leave it. Also have a factory lip spoiler right here. I would have done this anyway if the car didn't have it, but it had it when I bought it, so good for me. I just figured I'd cover this while I'm back here. I did do Megan diff mounts, I think it was mobile diff fluid, and I did some axle spacers on this car. No complaints since then. I did feel the car be a little more responsive after the diff fluid change. But yeah, no complaints. I have a GM synchro mesh in the transmission also. Okay, now one thing I know that all of the other S2000 owners watching this video noticed is the hardtop. Yes, it is OEM, and it's probably the primary reason I decided to buy this car versus all the other cars for sale at the time. I do really like the silhouette it gives the car from this angle. I know the Forbidden and Mugen style hardtops, they kind of come down at a straight line, and I don't think that really flows with the rest of the car. So, happy to say I have an OEM hardtop. The soft top underneath has been replaced, also done by the previous owner. I believe it's a Robin stop, but I'm not sure. It is fabric, it's not vinyl. It's been holding up fine, works, everything like that. So, I'm very happy with it. And I want to say that whoever bought this car brand new back in 2001, they probably got the hardtop with the car because it has all of the OEM factory mounting stuff. So, yeah. Even though it's OEM, it does creak sometimes, but not enough for me to be bothered by it. So, yeah, nice factory hardtop. Good piece to have. I'm sure everybody is aware for the ridiculous money that they're worth now. Yeah, just to show you guys, there is a little quick release handle back there for the hardtop. Very handy when I take the hardtop off during the summer. So, yeah. Now for the interior of the car. When I bought the car, the interior did need a little bit of work. It wasn't too bad, but it just didn't seem very clean. The seats were a bit worn visually, so one of the first things I did was I got the Clasio seat covers in all red. They're very comfy, very good quality item. I know some people don't like it because it takes away the hole here from the AP1 seats, but for what they cost and for what they're made of and the quality of the item, I don't mind. This bolster here, not in the greatest shape compared to the rest of them, but it's whatever for now. The car did come with the AP2 center console and the AP2 leather. They're in very good shape. I rewrapped the silver portions here with silver vinyl, and I just 3D printed a little Honda logo there just for fun. Shifter I rebuilt, and the transmission has the hybrid racing detent springs in it. This is just a 1320 shift knob. I like how this feels being a bit higher than the factory shift knob for shifting gears, and it makes it a bit easier to actually get into gear and not as likely to miss gears with a longer shift knob, in my opinion. I also have a DE5, I think it's DE5, Integra Type S shift knob with the silver stitching. I guess you could say that's my Cars and Coffee shift knob. The steering wheel here, flat bottom. Honestly, I'm not a very big fan of the flat bottom just because turning it very quickly, it kind of feels a bit funny once it gets to this area. But it's not too bad. I know they're also very expensive, so for now I'm just going to leave it. The airbag here has a little Momo thing I got off of Etsy because the Honda badge was a bit scratched and I didn't like looking at it. So that's just a cheap temporary solution that's been there for a while. Here I have a oil pressure and temperature gauge from Glow Shift. 3D printed little gauge pod there. Again, nice and simple. Doesn't get in the way of any of my readouts on the cluster. So all's well with that. What else in here? Oh, I do have the Backyard Special lowered seat rail. I think it's 20 millimeters it drops the seat, but the seat covers raise you again about maybe 3 millimeters, so it's a good balance. I feel like with the stock mounting rails, even my short self, I'm like 5'8", my line of sight still caught the top of the windshield, so this works pretty well for me. A bit of a broad view rear view mirror, that's always handy, especially in a tiny car. That also, one of the cool things about the factory hardtop is that the rear windshield kind of encompasses the whole width of the car versus the Mugen style where it's just like a little porthole kind of. A lot less of a blind spot back here. What else? I did have the windshield changed when I bought the car. It wasn't cracked or anything, but it had a lot of chips in it. Or like small chips, so when the sun would shine on it, you couldn't really see in front of you. So that was a very nice change once I got that replaced. And yeah. Roof of the hardtop, pretty good condition. Oh, I did also have to replace the sun visors. They were a bit faded and tearing around the edges, so just found a set on Marketplace. But yeah, that's it for as far as visual mods for the interior. Okay, now on to the engine. We could talk about some of the performance mods and maintenance I've done over the 3 years I've had this car. So, at the very front, I replaced the radiator because about 1.5 years into ownership, the top plastic housing cracked on me and started to smoke really bad. I was on the way home from work one day and I was like, oh, that's not good. So, replaced that and replaced the reservoir. Did the coolant hoses at the same time. Airbox, I have the LHT airbox mod done and the K&N filter. The gold heat tape, purely visual. I don't really think it does much, but I think it makes the engine bay look a lot better. I do want to get the, I think it's Auto-Technic, the carbon fiber plate that funnels the air right into here. I think that would be a good piece to have. Cusco strut bar with some stickers from the homies. The car did come on Olin DFV suspension. I think it's DFV. Whatever the Saki Bomb Öhlins are. I know they have the Saki Bomb logo on them. Painted the heat shield on the stock header. Replaced the battery. Speaking of the motor, or looking at the motor, I did have the AP2 retainers and keepers done, and on the list is the upgraded oil jet bolts. Under here, did change the alternator for a, I think it was a Denso unit. But yeah, it's been good to me ever since. I have the updated gold idle air control valve. The car still does some funny stuff when the revs drop all the way back down sometimes, but not enough to concern me. And I did replace the clutch master cylinder with a Sachs unit from Rock Auto. Funny story about that, actually. When I got the car home from buying it, I looked at the fluid in the reservoir, and it was basically all the way down to where it was barely covering the hole that it would go through the hose with. So I got pretty lucky there that I didn't get stranded. The clutch, the car has a new transmission seal, rear main seal, basically everything you can get to when the transmission's out of the car. I went with the OEM disc and ACT HD pressure plate setup, and I'm a big fan of it. So very happy with that. I ended up finishing that project about 3 weeks ago now, and totally transformed the car using the urea grease on all of the movement points in that system. The clutch pedal feels so much more smooth, and the engagement is about 60 to 70% up on the pedal versus before it was basically 95% up. So I knew the car needed a clutch eventually, but even though that was the case, I wouldn't grind or experience any slippage on the highway in like 6th or 5th gear when I was trying to pass. Some quick thoughts on the Öhlins DFV suspension. I'm not sure what spring rates they are, but they are the Saki Bomb variant of these coilovers, and they're great. I love them. I believe I have them set to 9 clicks all around out of, I think 16? I think it's 16. But yeah, the car still has the factory larger AP1 front and rear sway bars, but it still doesn't get very upset in long sweepers over some bumps. So, very happy with the suspension. Talking about the suspension, I also replaced all the bushings in the control arms, and that was a big fight. Regarding my fight with the control arms, I probably went through 50 blades on my DeWalt Sawzall to get them all out. Gave them a quick sand and paint so they look nice and fresh. I kind of did something unique as far as the choice of bushings. So all of the bushing locations that involved eccentric bolts for the alignment, I used purple power flex bushings, but where the coilovers bolted to the lower control arms, I used hard race bushings. So a little bit more compliance in the ride, and I think, while driving the car, because of the power flex poly, it'll stay truer to the alignment that I've dialed in. One very minor issue I experienced when it got cold out was the EPS. The steering wheel would shake sometimes on cold start, but after the car, got warm, it would go away. Despite that, I still took out the steering torque sensor, and I cleaned it and packed it with new grease, and it hasn't been an issue since, so that's cool. I guess another big thing with this car, the previous owner did do a Billman timing chain tensioner, so that has never been an issue. Okay, now finally onto my wheels. When I bought the car, it came with the now ubiquitous in the S2000 community 17x9 plus 45 NK RPF1 silver wheels. They had some 245/40 Continental DWS 06s on them. It was a nice little setup for what it is. It did tramline a little bit, even though those tires are all seasons. Made the steering feel a bit heavy, but it's a good compromise for what it is. Good daily tire, good daily wheel. But recently, I think 3 days ago now, I changed those out for Advan Racing RGD2s. The color is Hyper Racing Black, I believe, and Machining. It's very confusing how they have the colors called out on the websites, because what they refer to as gun metallic actually looks black, and as you can see in front of you, this is hyper black, and it doesn't look black in the slightest. But yeah, these are also 17x9 plus 45, and the tires are Kumo Exta Sports. They're a 320 treadwear tire, and they are 245/40. Calipers, I painted them to VHT gold, just like on my Integra, so that's kind of a little thing that I like to do. I think gold is a lot less played out than red. Not that I, don't like red, but I just feel like it's a little different. I also think the gold matches the amber in the indicators a little bit, so it kind of ties it together in that respect. Going forward, I do want to get some different pads, either StopTech Sport or Project Mu. Kind of leaning towards Project Mu because I hear they create a little less dust but still have good initial bite. And I want to get the little mud flap for right here, so save my paint a little bit. Just to get up closer here, you guys can appreciate the color contrast. Moteki lugs, just like on my Integra also. I think this color sets off the otherwise mundane Silverstone paint very, very well. And actually, if you see where I placed the sticker here, relative to the valve stem, that's actually in the instructions that come with the wheels. I got them from Evasive Motorsports. They were the only set they had in stock in this color. Love it. Absolutely love it. Gorgeous wheel. Not very common in the S2000 community. I don't know of many people that run these. People usually jump straight to TE37s. I guess now we could talk about my future plans for this car. One of the last maintenance items I want to do, I have a Walbro 255 fuel pump that I want to put in this car. I think the fuel pump is probably old and a little dirty, so it kind of misfires sometimes, but after you drive it for a bit, the misfire goes away, so I think that's just a fuel delivery related issue. Also, the Haltech 1500 Elite I had for my Integra, I've decided to leave that car on the stock Type R ECU and put the Haltech into this car. Additionally, I want to get a test pipe on this car and get it e-tuned by Jeff Evans. Hopefully, lowering VTEC to around 4,000 RPM will wake up this car nicely. I think this car needs more help than the Integra, personally. I think my Integra is a bit quicker than this car, even with the GSR gears in that car. Also, depending on how that goes as far as waking up the car, the e-tune, supercharging this car is very much a possibility. I'm between the Science of Speed tuner kit and the HKS GC2 kit. The HKS kit is a bit more annoying to install and, generally deal with as far as doing stuff like relocating the battery and rerouting AC lines. It is a bit less reversible than the Science of Speed kit too, from what I can see, but it does appear that supercharger is a lot less laggy than the Science of Speed supercharger. I feel like the Science of Speed charger takes a bit more RPM to really build boost. You're still going to feel it in the high RPMs, obviously, but that just appears to be the case. But again, the Science of Speed supercharger, all you're doing is drilling 2 holes into a piece of plastic, and you've got the boost, essentially. So it'll probably end up being that one, realistically. I'd like to put 10, 11 PSI into this motor, and anywhere between 350 and 400 I'll be happy with. But again, purely based on how the NA tune is and how I feel about that after it happens. So that was an overview of my 2001 Honda S2000. It's been a pleasure to own this car over the past 3 years. For about 20 grand, I feel like you really can't go wrong with buying one of these. The only other 2 cars I would have chosen, perhaps a C5 Corvette or maybe an E46 M3, but I really didn't want to deal with BMW nonsense. Yeah, stay tuned for more.